Welcome back, my friends, to season 5 of the Get Good Championship. We are here with the final day of play in group stage, coming off of a fantastic 5 map thriller in the intermediate division with Faster Than Mao taking the 3-2 victory over Bonsai Wild. But now we head to the rookie division where we have Boomer Squad taking on Ramen. My name is
Yeah.
Bullskunk. Moxie, how have these teams been looking?
I mean, Ramen actually gave us a little interesting tidbit about themselves, both. They seem to be the favorite in this matchup, considering that they actually came second in 4.5 season in the rookie division, which was the last little bit of ELO Hal Good that these guys played.
But Boomer Squad showing us a slightly better record coming in with a 7-2, excuse me, versus Ramen 6-3 that they've been able to put up so far. Do you think they'll have the advantage here today, despite Ramen's pedigree here in this tournament?
So we had a very interesting conversation in the very short little break where we talked about how meta has been shifting. And so even though these guys have been very strong and came second place in season 4.5, that was before Genji came back to the forefront. And this is Overwatch here and now, and if you can't run Genji or if you can't really deal with a Genji running into you, then you are going to have quite a lot of problems. And I mean, heading into Lijiang, first of all, if it's night market, we may get to see Genji. If it's not, then Ramen may not have to test their metal against the Cyborg Ninja quite yet.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower, of course, little micro metas built into each of the 3 separate rounds here. Control center definitely going to be your Reinhardt, Zarya, May Reaper close up brawl map. And it seems like that might favor Boomer Squad here if we decide to go more brawly, just given by the team sheets we have available to us so far.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as well because I love to see Control Center come out because I love to see not only how they go for that tank lineup, but how they opt into the DPS. Because obviously you want to have a Mei on the board, but much more now we're getting to see things like Junkrat or Ashe to have a little bit of that spam damage coming through. Some teams opt to go for the Reaper because they want to focus on the front line and rather than getting the shields out of the way, they want the heroes themselves out of the way. And so it says a lot about how a team likes to play, whether they want to go for that very aggressive, immediately in your face, just go for the kills approach, or whether they go for the more measured and a little bit laid back of wait for the shielding to go away and then move properly in to find your value.
I like the hyper aggressive, get in your face, guts out, just go for it approach. I don't know. It's just so fun to watch. I admire the confidence it takes to do that.
I mean, I like to see the more measured approach, but maybe that's because I'm a color caster and you're a play-by-play. Like you like to see things immediately happen, and I like to see things getting nicely set up for a couple of moments and then start to pop off.
Hey, a little bit of yin, a little bit of yang, it makes the balance, makes the world go round. Doors are open. Our match has begun. We are going to get the Rhine Zarya here from Ramen. Start things off. Looks like a little May Reaper in there as well as teams are going to clash here in the light room. Ramen backing up, taking the position on the point. They'll have a little bit of advantage in that regard. Got to watch out for this Doomfist from Jaeger, though.
I mean, Ramen backing off to the point, though, is great for this composition because Boomer Squad need this fight to be in these small corridors. Ramen backing out means that the Doomfist isn't really finding as much value.
But unfortunately for Ramen, the Junkrat dead. Hanzo main coming up with early picks, allowing for Boomer Squad to get aggressive. They're going to end up with first control to start things off.
Now, Lyle on this Reaper is looking a little bit like a liability. Right, you have to get him in past the Junkrat spam damage and the Doomfist, and then find someone to pick on, and the Moira's just fading away from you.
Speaking of Moira's Coalescence used early there from Ramen. We had a Junkrat tire coming out, or didn't look like it found anything. Nevertheless, Hanzo main still getting his name into that kill feed, finding the Mei and the Zarya. Good hold here for Boomer Squad.
DJ Tilster coming in with a wonderful coalescence, making sure that they keep the team alive and full as Ruby. She's building up to this Graviton, and Loto, he's going to have a Shadow. If you wait just a little bit longer, you can maybe combine that Meteor Strike with the Graviton, but if you get antsy, you can throw the Shadow over the top to make sure that Orvindel has to keep the shield up, and you can try and get that damage flooding on through rather than being blocked out.
Good rotation here from Ramen, but Lyle gets caught out early. Now Milk goes down. Rander goes down, and that's no more heals available for Ramen. The Blizzard thrown out, but it's not going to be enough to counterpunch back.
So Ramen, they can try and out-rotate, they can try to get around the point other than through this choke, but Boomer Squad's composition is so much more mobile. You've got that Doomfist, and so every time you out-rotate yourself, you're just going to be in a very small, close corridor with a Doomfist main who's looking to slam you straight into the wall, so you have to take the face value, you have to go for a choke and face the Graviton.
Graviton Surge coming through from Boomer Squad. Soundbearer in response from Ramen. Nice fire strike. Opens up with first blood. Both tanks missing suddenly from Boomer Squad. Hanzo main strikes back. Manages to get a kill. Coalescence thrown in from DJ Zolstra. Ramen still pressing their advantage though. Junkrat Jake wins the duel of the Rats. Follows it up with a nice kill on to Rumsky. And Ramen getting control started for the first time here in this matchup.
Yeah, but the thing is, they've got a Graviton, they can combine it up with Lyle's Death Blossom. They need to win this next fight because it's already 95% on the board for the Boomer Squad. And not only do they have that percentage, they've got the Soundbar. You have to pressure the Lucio into using this ultimate before you can commit yours.
Little duel between Jaeger on the Doomfist and Lyle on the Reaper. Reaper moves away, gonna go ahead and throw the Death Blossom onto the middle point. Graviton Surge invested by Ramen as well. Boomer Squad right there with the sound barrier, but missing both of their DPS on this point. Is Ruby gonna have the strength to strike back? No, she goes down! And it looks like the rest of the team gonna fall shortly behind.
Fully charged Zarias, they're absolutely terrifying. Now if you're Ramen, you want to be moving into that prime position of trying to hold at choke. You've bought yourself the time to set yourself up with a couple of ultimates. Shatter and Tire, so you can set that one up and then send the Tire immediately on through. And nothing, not even a Coalescence or Soundbar, if they were online, would be able to save you from that.
Oh, Jaeger taking down Junkrat Jake, holding that Rip Tire. Orvindale still with the Earthshatter online. Jaeger launches in from the side, able to find Orvindale, turns around, picks up the Moira on top of that. Now, Ramen does strike back, picks off the Moira on the other side, but with their healers gone, I don't think they have enough sustain to stick around this point. Tire coming through from Ramen. Can it be the one to help them hold on? No, it gets destroyed. No value there. Somehow, Ramen hanging on to this objective, though, continuing to build up percentage. Zorvadel made it back into the fight. Sound Barrier comes out from Milk. Big charge, but gets punished by Ramen. And they maintain control at this point miraculously through all of this engagement.
But Handsome is able to get out his leader right before the Graviton comes through, and that paves the way for Boomer Squad to come back!
Now Zolstra free to throw their Coalescence over the objective. Lodi able to get that Earth Shattered down. And overtime Wick starting to burn. Final fight on the point. Neither team at full strength. Lodi comes charging back onto the objective at full force. Takes down Lyle. Takes down the opposing Reinhardt. And Boomer Squad in a prime position to take this opening round. So here comes the Coalescence from the other side. Is the follow-up there? No. Just a lone Zarya left on point.
Oh, the Graviton came through, but there's no follow-up for that either. Lyle's onto the Tracer, but it's the Junkrat Handsome main that you really have to worry about. He is not letting Orvindale get the space to swing the hammer, instead forcing him to hold the shield up and away from the rest of his team.
A valiant attempt from Ramen there at the end. I mean, doing a good job of stall, but in the end, not enough. Sound Barrier not even needed from Boomer Squad.
I mean, Ramen were going to have a tough time of it as soon as the Zarya holding on to Graviton went down. And that target focus coming out from Hanselman with that Riptire sent purely towards the Zarya. Boomer Squad had a real understanding of the win condition that was there for Ramen, and they had a real understanding of how best to completely deny it. But now it's a different game, now it's a different map. And instead of going for these really close quarter central compositions with that Junkrat, with that Doomfist, you go for something that finds a little bit more value when you have that set out, right? You have the Pharah up in the sky who can just spam those rockets in from far away, whilst Hanselman sets up a crossfire onto the side. If you're Ramen, you're committing to dive. You're committing to a little bit of a counter dive as well, though, with Junkrat Jade going to be on this Reaper. But again, it's going to be very hard for the Reaper to find the value because Boomer Squad are going to be so mobile. Half of the composition is up in the sky without reach from the Reaper.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for Junkrat Jake to get value, but he may prove us wrong. Finding a kill there. Jaeger strikes back with a good conk blast. Rez comes through. Jake takes down Lotu. Oh, and Junkrat Jake falls with a nice kill into Rubsky as well, finding the Reinhardt, finding the Mercy. Ramen finding success here on their first attack.
This is where it's going to be extremely hard for Uriel Jaeger to actually find value now that you've lost control of this point, and Lyle is able to get that Sky Central composition coming on through, but you don't have that pocket. You don't have that damage boost, you don't have that constant healing that Rumsky's providing for the Pharah, so you have to win the duel, but you've got to win it against two.
Yeah, and I can't help but feel that with that pocket, the Pharmacy and Daryl Jaeger has full control over the skies. Lyle struggling to find room to work. Hanzo Main coming up with a good early pick, but goes down. Lotu takes down Winston to the other side. Here comes the Barrage. Jaeger taking down the Reaper with that Barrage. Lyle does eventually pick the Pharah out mid-Barrage, but so much damage already put on the objective. Boomer Squad are going to be able to flip this thing after a little bit of cleanup.
It doesn't matter that the Pharah went down during Barrage, because the Pharah went down so Rumsky could actually res Hanzo Main, who managed to build up a pub, and it doesn't matter if you're spin cycling around the point. Bob's got auto lock.
And Bob fighting both tanks, as a matter of fact. The big Omnic Butler doing his job in style there.
Ramen, they're sticking with this Hammond and with this Winston. Ovindal is very close to that Primal Rage, but it means that you don't have that shielding to keep your backline safe, especially because Junkrat Jake's going to be on this Reaper so far away. And your other DPS Lyle is going to be equally as far from the backline, which means that you're going to be vulnerable, easy pickings for Hanzo Main and Daryl Jaeger.
Daryl Jaeger going over to a Reaper of their own. It's going to give Lyle a lot more room to work, though. Daryl Jaeger finds first kill. Earthshatter coming out, finds two. And Boomer Squad right there with the follow-up. Hanzo Main getting in the mix, putting a headshot down onto the Reaper.
So Lyle may have a little bit more free reign, but you've still got to go up against Hanzo Main. And this Ashe is proving dominant. Yep. You have a duplication available. Monk's going to have a Cyber. In fact, Ramen are going to have a whole host of ultimates, pretty much all of them, online for this next fight. So they have to win this one. They have to find value. Because Boomer Squad, they can just draw this out for as long as possible until Ruby's got that Sigma Flux, and then your Scienfire goes kaput.
All of these ultimates require Ramen to be in close quarters and require them to get into the fight. Soundbeer used early to get aggressive. Minefield comes out from IS Luna. And that's gonna be it. Nice move from IS Luna. Is gonna throw Hanzo Main into the drink. The Coalescence picking up some goods as well. Ramen able to take that point using only half of their ultimates, saving quite a few for this next fight.
They can draw these out for as long as they want now that they've got that point control. Orvindal kept a hold of the Primal Rage as well, so when Boomer Squad come to try to recontest this, Orvindal just pops Primal, and you buy yourself so much time, so much point percentage. The danger is Ruby still got Sigma Flux. You don't want to pop Primal only to find yourself, massive health bar though it is, still without 50% of it when you hit the ground.
Yeah, it's a massive amount of damage. This time, Boomer Squad pathing around through white. Duplicate comes through. Lyle's going to choose the Reinhardt as the duplicate target. Hanzo Main tossed Bob onto the objective, and Death Blossom thrown in from Daryl Jaeger. We're going to get 2 kills for Ramen here, despite that. Make it 3. And holding on to the point. Primal Rage finding its use. Here comes the Death Blossom from the other side. Low 2 cannot survive the massive amount of shotgun damage. We're all tied up on Lijiang Tower.
So Boomer Squad, it's very interesting how they decide to try and deal with this dive. They put a Reaper in, but they don't put CC. Which means that, yes, the Winston gets a lot of pressure when there are twin-barrel shotguns pointed at its face. But it's only coming from one spot, and you can work around it. You can have the rest of your team buy out his attention so that you get free reign. If you have something like a Mei, she has a multiple freeze where she can get multiple people crowd-controlled. But as it is, we get to head off to Night Market. And we're seeing multiple Symmetras pop up on board, so it's not going to be like the last series. Both of these guys are going to be going for that window drop. Both of these guys are going to be trying to set up those turrets. And Junkrat Jake on this Mei, I favor a little bit more over Daryl Jaeger on this Doomfist, because Mei has that CC, she's got that wall, and she commands a little bit of a threat that Doomfist really doesn't.
No, it's going to be up to Jaeger to get the early pick to find advantage. First teleport comes through from Boomer Squad. Hanzo able to get those turrets set up. And Mei doesn't stand a chance. Jaeger does indeed land the right hook. Hanzo Main showing up in a big way in that kill feed as well.
Ramen going to have to swap off the Symmetra strategy because they lost that point. They don't have that control. They don't get to set the turrets up, but they're sticking with it. And Iceland is actually going to go over to The Hamid Lyle off the sim onto the Echo, so they're going to go for dive. This is something that worked out for them in that last point. Boomer Squad weren't really able to deal with it, and they don't have the CC available now. But oh, Vindel! He botches the jump!
Oh no, disastrous start. And it's just gonna be a quick reset. Looks like ES Luna is still trying to make a presence here, rolling around on the coast just outside of the objective. The Symmetra turning around to catch the rotation, but it's going to force the rest of Boomer Squad to fall back onto the point, open up a little space.
Ramen now get all the space in the world to try and move towards it, but they didn't have the winds, they didn't feel comfortable going in one person down, and all of the space that should have brought them, it's gone now.
Ramen still keeping the pressure on. Boomer Squad just happy to fall back within the safety walls of the objective. Orbital diving in deep, but cannot survive. Too much pressure coming through. Junkrat Jade does find the kill onto Ruby. So both teams are missing a tank here on this 5v5 objective bout. Photon barrier used by Boomer Squad, but Jaeger misses the punch. Down into the abyss he goes. Junkrat Jade takes out Moira as well. So this suddenly just took a disastrous turn for Boomer Squad.
But no one's dealing with the Symmetra tower teleporter, so the Zarya can come in, and so too can Boomer Squad. There we go, it's finally gone now. But Boomer Squad were able to buy 70% of the point, and now you've got a Shatter. Ramen is still running with this Winston, which means a Monkey Bubble to block an ultimate. And you're going to have DG Zilstra with a Coalescence. If Shatter is successful, you have all of the power, all of the confidence that's going to allow you to come forward with that support ultimate and push through this team.
They'll be running into mines as well as a duplicate from Ramen here. As the teleport strategy coming from the top ropes gets Boomer Squad onto this point super fast, forces that sound barrier out early. The duplicate from Ramen does go on to the Doom Fist as the Earth Shatter came through, found two, but kills lighten up both sides. We're going to get that bonus meteor strike. It lands right on the dome of Low2 and Zilstra. Big plays coming out of Lyle on the Echo.
Oh, the decision to go for the Doomfist as well. There's no CC available on the side of Boomer Squad. They may be running a Doomfist, but they're not running a McCree, and you're guaranteed to get some kills with it. Well, Vintel's still got this primal. He's going to be trying to push Boomer Squad to go for that side angle, just waiting hungrily to press Q.
Please go coast. Please go coast. They're going coast. Can you find the environmental kills? Here comes the leap. Bubble primal. Immediately knocks the Moira out into the abyss. Now looking for more. Can he get the Doom? No, the Doom able to escape. Low2 strikes back. 2 kills for the main tank from the other side. While able to burn down Hanzo main with that focusing beam. And it's a 3v2 on the point. Boomer Squad. They're going to take advantage of that and flip this point.
They went coast, but Ovindo keeps the hold of primal for just a little bit too long, so he only really gets to catch one out. The rest of the team's already on the point, already out of danger. And now Boomer Squad 78% about to equalize Ramen's point percentage, and Ramen have a Death Blossom to work with, which they've got to try and set up without Ruby with this Graviton seeing where the Reaper's coming from.
Heads up play by Rumsky to speed the team around, get him out of danger. And then with a nice stagger kill onto ES Luna, just further buying Boomer Squad more time.
Well, it's going to be that last fight. If Ramen can touch, they've got the sustainability with Coalescence, but the Graviton comes out, denying half of the team the point presence.
Coalescence used on both sides. Trying to burn down through it. Gets him up. Death Blossom from Junkrat Jake. Takes out Hanzo main. Follows it up with a nice kill onto Low2 and Ruby. Junkrat Jake trying to carry Ramen on his back. The Edgelord putting the 2 shotguns to good use. 4K after all is said and done. With 83% and counting. Well, Boomer Squad, they've got to get back here in touch.
Well, they do have a chance to get this final fight properly going, but they've got to get past Lyle. He's coming into this duplicate first. Hanzo main's got a tire though, and this was the thing that tipped Control Center in their favor.
Orvindor with the early kill onto Jaeger. Boomer Squad moving in, already at a deficit. Lyle's going to duplicate the Reinhardt, but immediately eats charge. May not have enough time to get the Earth Shatter death. No, it's the Earth Shatter from the other side. Finding Jake, Low2, picking off Moira in the process. But Ramen striking back into the odds. The 4v4 on the point. Minefield comes out from ES Luna. Sound barrier there from Rumsky to try to keep the remaining 4 members of Boomer Squad in this final fight here on the point for Lijiang Tower. Red getting a couple of kills, and Ramen might be running away with this thing. No more Zarya, no more healers left for Boomer Squad. And it looks like Ramen might have just done it. Hanzo Main trying to equalize with the tire, but it won't be enough.
Oof, Ramen doing a very good job there of just constantly keeping up that pressure, constantly being able to stay alive. Orvindor more than made up for not being able to pop Primal in time on that coast attack with that Primal Rage in the final fight. He was able to keep himself alive, and he was also able to bounce all of Boomer Squad out of position so that they couldn't get the target focus that Ramen were afforded.
A very good start and early lead here for Ramen, your 6-3 team here in the rookie division. This is a 1-3 matchup at loser pick, so we will have Boomer Squad choosing our map 2. We'll be headed to Hybrid, to Escort with your choice of Rialto, Route 66, or Junkertown. Looks like we're going to Rialto here, Moxie.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because Route 66, everyone knows that you're going to run afoul of a lot of Farah, perhaps a lot of Widowmaker. Rialto is pretty much the same.
Yep, big
So,
skyboxes, long range to work with.
so much crossfire. It's all down to the DPS on this one. You have to be able to deal with the enemy Ash or Widowmaker or Fire, whatever they're running, before your tanks can properly try to move into that space. Because if they have to be very hesitant, very tiptoe about how they approach the payload, you have the defenders just waiting to set up an environmental kill with an Orisa Halt into the water, the Reddit Lucios, all of the rollouts on Rialto, making sure that you're behind the attacker's spawn door when it opens. You get to speed boost and push 4 people into the river at the same time. It's an absolute dream or a nightmare if you're playing against it.
Very defensive favored map, that's for sure. If you get across the initial bridge, that first corner can be so difficult to take from the attacker's point of view. Then you have to deal with the courtyard there on point A. Those very defendable positions make Rialto your map with the highest full hole rate in all of Overwatch, at least last information I heard. And then if
And
you
I mean,
make it
it
past
doesn't
that,
stop
point
there.
B is equally as tough.
Like, it doesn't stop there either, because you've got
Yeah.
that massive, long, open spaced bridge where there is no cover behind your tank's shields to hide behind if you want to try and cross it. And if you're the defenders, you've got all of the time in the world after you lost point A to set up on the high ground and just spam damage into a team that can't run away from it. And then if you manage to get past B, you've got point C. And point C, if you manage to stop the payload on the defending side, well, then you have the respawn advantage. And you get such a wonderful sight onto every single time the attackers try to approach, because they can go main and you shoot them. Or if they go side room, you send a Dragon Strike through. It's absolutely ridiculously hard to try and bust your head around.
So your loser chooses the map here, which Boomer Squad taking us to Rialto. Your winner picks what side they want to approach. And it looks like Ramen have chosen to go on the attack here, which, considering this is such a defensive favored map, that surprises me, Moxie.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised at that because, yeah, we talked about it. Rialto is one of, if not the map where you see the most amount of full holds on that point A, because it can just be so hard, not just to push across that first bridge, but to get through that first corner. But it can also be such a sinker when it comes to morale if you're able to set a really fast time bank on it. And if your morale tanks, well, your gameplay tanks as well. We've all been there at midnight when we're tilted and we know we should stop playing Overwatch, but we still queue up as we just get to go on a really nice, relaxing gondola ride down the river.
It happens to the best of us. No doubt. No doubt. It happens to the best of us. I like the confidence it takes to go on the attack first. I mean, I love the guts and knowing that your team, we're going to do something big here. We are going to demoralize our enemy on what should be a very defensive favored map. Question is, can they execute?
Well, Boomer Squad, they're not going to be going for the traditional crossfire either. So they are going to have Hanzo Main there on the Ashe. And she's very invaluable on Rialto. You kind of have to run her in almost every composition because she deals with so much. She's a Pharah counter, she's a Widow counter, she's pretty much an all-around DPS counter. But you're also going to have Uriel Jaeger on that Doomfist. And that means that you're going to have a lot of pressure on the backline. Dr. Ander on that Moira is going to have to use each of these fades at the perfect timing, otherwise you are going to be without a main support. She's going to be slammed into the next wall.
early halt almost puts DS Luna into the drink. Fortunately, they had gotten the cooldown of the boosters back just in time. Hanzo main finds first blood, start things off, taking down the Moira of the attacking Ramen. Reaper trying to go in, see if he can equalize, but Elf bars super low for Ramen as they're trying to push around this first corner. And it may be back to the drawing board here. Ovendale going down, Junkrat Jake going down is going to make that a real possibility.
So Ramen are trying to play dive, they're trying to take the high ground away, but Boomer Squad are doing a very good job at giving Hanzo main insurance to stay alive with this Brigitte. But if you're able to get the Brigitte out of the way, your team should be finding a lot more value.
I think the Brig is such a smart pick. I was noticing that in our support lineup here. The Brig should be able to shut that down. But Junkrat Jake finds Lotu on the Orisa. High priority pick for Ramen as they try to make their way into Courtyard, using a Coalescence to do so. Lyle's going to push in, find the kill on the Hanzo main, and Ramen suddenly opening up so much space. The defense looking scattered here.
And actually, Hanzo main tried to ult as they were in the throes of death, and it results in Bob failing to come out. He's having an early bit of retirement right now. And if
Ramen failed to deal with the Doomfist through all of this, though. And the defense getting themselves right back into this thing on the back of Daryl Jaeger's excellent punches. And then a late Gravitic Flux thrown in from Ruby.
I mean, if you're Ramen, how do you deal with the Doomfist, though? You don't have a Brigitte unlike Boomer Squad. You don't have a McCree. You evidently can't just ignore him. Something needs to be swapped up, and it feels like it's the Reaper.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Orvendale trying to go in and put pressure onto the Doom, but the most he can do is just kind of run him off the high ground. Lyle made the duplicate into the Doomfist, but is taken right back out of it before they even get back down to the ground. Lotu with the finishing blow. And this offense, well, looking a little lackluster here so far, Moxie. The dive tank's holding up top. Jaeger getting a little aggressive, and they're able to take down the Doomfist. That's going to prompt Ramen to get aggressive, try to take over the Courtyard, create a little bit of chaos. Coalescence throwing in, he's going to find one. He is Luda finding one as well, and well, the patience of Ramen pays off in the end.
Well, Boomer Squad were just as patient, though. In that fight, they held on to so many of these ultimates that Ramen had to commit to get themselves control of Courtyard, and now they are going to have to go up against Lotu, who's going to have a supercharger. If Boomer Squad are able to get the recontest going through, you are able to touch with the Doomfist. That might just be enough.
In touch they shall, contested with 3 meters left to go. Meteor Strike thrown in from Jaeger. Going in and just diverting so much attention from the front line of Ramen. That's going to buy time for the rest of the team to get in here. Solskjaer drops their rally, bolstering the entire defense. The Ruby goes down. Junkrat Jake forced to Wraith form out. Oh, but dies before the Death Blossom hits the battlefield. Lotu return to the battle with the Supercharger. Ant Matrix already on the battlefield here for the defense. And Boomer Squad making a strong contest on the back end of point A here. Although Zylstra going down late, going to prompt a little bit of attack here from Orvendal. Oh, he gets rocked and sent back to spawn. Coalescence now coming out from the attacking team in a last-ditch effort to try to push this thing home.
They just can't deal with either the Ashe or the Doomfist, because either their attention is taken by the Doomfist or their attention is taken with the Ashe, and that means that the other DPS gets free reign completely unchecked, and you can't allow a DPS to get free reign unchecked.
Junkrat Jake trying to throw the Doomfist, trying to throw the Death Blossom down, but gets stunned right out of it. I think Ramen was fortunate to even get in with the touch, but they don't last long. The Gravitic Flux thrown into nothingness just for good measure.
Well, we said it. Rialto is the home of the full hold. And I think we can safely say that we cast a curse. Well, we very much cast a curse.
I'm afraid we did. Moxie, I'm afraid we did. Ramen got zilch in the map score there.
And now, what you were trying to do, trying to tank Boomer Squad's mentality, that's going to be happening to you. Because you had a game plan, right? You may not have picked the map, but you still picked the side. And you opted for the attack. You thought that you would be able to full push this map. You came in with a game plan of going dive and running over Boomer Squad by taking the high ground away from them. But Boomer Squad were prepared for the dive. And on the other foot, Ramen were not prepared for the DPS that they ran into.
No, and you mentioned it before the map started that this is going to be on the DPS to carry. And it's the DPS that you have to shut down. Boomer Squad winning in both of those categories there on the defense.
Well, Junkrat Jake is not going to be on the Reaper, he's going to be on the Torbjorn. And this is a good pick, because it means that you have a lot of pressure if there is a dive coming through, because you've got that turret immediately putting down damage. But it also allows Dr. Ander on this Batiste a little bit more safety, because if he sticks around the turret, then if the Relia actually comes out on this Tracer, you were going to be extremely reluctant to actually go anywhere near that backline with your health bar being 150 and that turret constantly firing.
Yeah, Jaeger on the Tracer, running into a Brig, running into the Torb. I don't know that the Tracer is going to work out here. We'll see if we get a swap once they've scouted this composition. So far, Boomer Squad just riding the cart around the first corner. Ramen not putting up much of a contest initially. Looks like they're satisfied to just fall back into Courtyard. Ruby fights first blood. Hanzo main lands a shot between the eyes of Luda. And a good start for Boomer Squad on the offense. Already at a two-man advantage as they look to push into this point A Courtyard.
And Hanzo main already 77% to that bomb. Boomer Squad are fighting one person down at the moment, Bull, but they don't even need him, because Hanzo main's going to have that sixth player callable in just a couple of moments, 8% away from the Bob, and Ramen, they don't really have anything that can either touch or can provide a contest when it comes to ultimates.
Hanzo main doing them dirty there. That was a nutty set of shots for that 4K. Oh, does go down that time though. Junkrat Jack responding. Bob does make it out onto the playing field. Sulfur's going to go down as well. The Ant Matrix invested by Boomer Squad, not going to be enough for them to cap this just yet.
If you're Ramen, you're buying time for Junkrat Jake to get up to the Molten Core as well, because Boomer Squad are running a very one-way heavy composition. The Orisa, the Sigma, they're all going to be grouped up very close around each other, so Molten Core comes out, and you shut down not just the composition, but their escape route. And then Ramen can come in with the cleanup crew of Dr. Ander having this amplification matrix. Lyle's going to go off onto the soldier, so he's going to get back into this fight a little bit faster. He's going to have a little bit more sustainability on his side. And not only that, he should be able to provide a bit more challenge to the Hanzo main.
Yeah, just that rally coming on live for the attackers. An early Amp Matrix, and Lyle able to throw some Helix rockets through it and find a first kill. Good start for the defense, but they're going to have to be perfect from here on out, Moxie. Still $1.55 on the clock.
Yeah, Ramen going to have to immediately end this fight as soon as it starts, really. The break going down is a great start, but you burned out an amplification matrix. And that ultimate, it managed to pick one up, but it wasn't enough. Boomer Squad is still on this high ground, still going to be looking for a drop down to move on to this payload. And that's when Junkrat Jake can come in. As soon as they go for the payload, out can come Molten Core, and then you can root this team.
Ruby gets her Gravitic Flux online. That could be a big opener here for Boomer Squad, who are positioned kind of out by Mega. An interesting rotation. Put them off on the outskirts of this first map. The Flux only finds one, and the Baptiste able to drop his regenerative healing. Here comes the Molten Core onto the objective. Gravitic Flux from Ramen as well. Will eventually take down Lotu. Lemsky falls. That's two important picks for the defense, enabling them to hold on with just 62 seconds on the clock.
Oh, and Boomer Squad, they used so many ultimates in that fight as well because they thought it was theirs. Ruby pops that Sigma Flux to try to put Dr. Anders' Immortality Field under pressure, but he doesn't really use it that late. And that should allow Hanzo main to put in the Bob, but the Bob didn't find the fight that they were looking for. And now you've got one last fight, and you have to deal with Ramen, who are going to be closing in on a supercharger attack visor combination.
Silstra swapping it over to the Moira. Supercharger out early for Ramen as Boomer Squad enters into Courtyard. Jaeger running into the Brig goes down first. While with that tack visor moving up to the high ground, is going to pop the tack visor from the balcony. Immediately takes on the Immortality Field. Looking for more with the ultimate, but sound barrier. Oh, no, that was wrong green lines that I was seeing there. Circles back around, Lyle. Still just putting down the hurt. The defense standing strong. Here's the pulse bomb coming out. Oh, Dr. Ander just backs into it. Oh, that was oh so close. Narrowly getting taken out. Gets the Ant Matrix out in time. But Hanzo strikes back. Jaeger goes down. Both teams missing their tracers. The overtime wick starts to burn. One last fight here on Rialto, and the coalescence from Boomer Squad will take down Orvindol. The Risa missing, primary shielding gone, and Boomer Squad gonna ride this momentum all the way to the back. I don't think there's anything that's gonna stop him here.
Islander was able to get the Sigma Flux online, but it doesn't matter, not if Boomer Squad are able to get the kills going in their favorite Hanzo main. That Ashe came on fire in all of Rialto, but it's going to be Milk on the Brigitte who's going to be picking up player of the game for some nice little shield bashes.
Mace to the face. That was a great way to clean up that flux from ES Luna. A beautiful combination there with the Brig and the Sigma.
I mean, if you're Ramen though, you must be feeling just a little bit demotivated. Because you had such a good shot at managing to win that point, at keeping that defense. It looked horrible in that first fight for this team, but they really came together. The Torbjorn swap, the Soldier swap, both of those found value. Unfortunately, where things fell apart is when the Batiste jumps on that Pulse Bomb. And it can be really hard. We've all done it. It can be extremely hard when you hear the exclamation mark and you hear the voice line, and you know that there's a Pulse Bomb and you can hear it so close to you that you panic and you just move. But unfortunately, because you were without your Batiste, you were without that massive amount of healing that was there available constantly for Boomer Squad, not just that the immortality field.
Yeah,
As soon as you lose your Batiste, it's just gone. You can't keep your front line up, you can't keep your back line up, and you can't really herald a contest as we head into the next round. No one, I think, is going to be surprised by this, will be King's Row.
Indeed, Ramen choosing ahead to England here for our hybrid map. And it looks like, well, that means Boomer Squad gets to choose what side they want. It looks like they're going to choose the defense, wisely enough.
I mean, everyone just feels a little bit more comfortable, I'm sure, defending on King's Row, because if you mess up, if you lose point A, it's very much on you. There's something that you've done extremely badly, be it your positioning or your ultimate economy. Because you have all of the chance for setup. You've got the high ground, you've got the choke, you've got the point that you can lock down, and you have all of these routes that you can stop Ramen from going down. You can prevent them from entering hotel. You can punish them if they try to go for that very long rotation around steps, trying to move to the high ground themselves. If you lose that point early, it is purely on you.
It is indeed. It typically snowballs into point C rather quickly. If you go down fast on point A from the defense, that the streets phase, it seems really easy for the attacking team to mop up with that extra ult charge.
Yeah, but then if you do lose streets phase very quickly, you can try and grab it back because you've got point C. And we see, I think, point C holds just as much as we see Rialto full holds on the defense, because it's so hard to move that payload once it stops any part of C, because you immediately get the high ground back in your possession. You get the main road back in your possession, and that's perfect for things like spam compositions or Reinhardts to build up shatters with fire strikes cutting on through teams. And there isn't really many ways that you can try to dodge around it, because if you go for those small corridors or go for the high ground, then you can really quickly get punished, because we're seeing more and more Orisa coming in on King's Row. And that means halts. And that means if you go for the high ground, all of your hard-earned effort, all of the time you spent trying to get into that position gets completely denied. And the slate gets cleaned by one ability that just yanks you off that ledge.
And that kind of Z turn we see on point C as well, with that high ground on that second turn, it makes for such a defensive favored area, where if you're getting pressured on one corner, you have another corner to easily fall back to, and the DPS can utilize this aforementioned high ground to help protect your initial corner. It's point C, like you say, very defensive. Very, very defensive. Speaking of defense... go ahead.
I know we normally talk about the defense composition because we know that they're going to be sticking with it, but I have my fingers crossed that we get to see this Bastion strategy come into play. Because if they go for this, you may have double shielding, you may have the higher ground, but I hate to tell you, Lila's going to be just a little bit higher on the top head of that statue.
Yeah, if we do indeed get to see a little top hat strat, And that's exactly what they're going to do. Lyle up on the Mondada statue, raining Bastion shot supreme down into point A. That's going to corral Boomer Squad all the way back into the corner. And Ramen trying to keep the aggression on, see if they can take advantage of this. But so much damage coming through from Yanger and Hanzo that Ramen are kind of forced to back out. Dr. Ander does go down. In fact, Dr. Ander got hit so hard, knocked him right out of the server entirely.
And if you're Ramen, you just burned precious seconds in your time bank setting up a strategy that didn't even get you one tick. Worse, if the strategy doesn't work, Lyle has to give up that Bastion ult charge and swap onto something that can contest this double sniper better. Because you've got Daryl Jaeger, you've got Hanzoman on this Hanzo, on this Ashe, just constantly putting damage into the shield that's trying to keep this Bastion safe and alive. And Junkrat Jake, it's not a close quarters fight. The Symmetra beam doesn't quite reach far enough, so you've only been able to build up 21% ult charge.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the DC, Junkrat Jake would have the lowest ult charge in the server. So far, Sim been a pretty non-factor after the use of the teleporter. Orbital does find a good kill on the Ruby as Lyle gets himself positioned on top of the Mondada statue once again with the Sigma Shield up there to protect the Bastion. Immortality or Amplification Matrix coming out from the defense, but Orbital's going to push right past it, drop a 3-man shatter into the back. Kills coming through with a quickness. Tank configuration coming out to help cap this point.
Boomer Squad had split. The Orisa was trying still to deal with Lyle and this Bastion, which meant that the team, the backline, the supports were left without that shield, and so Orvindel only had to just sidestep Amplification Matrix, and he gets a free ultimate. And if you're Boomer Squad, well, you might lose control of Choke because you don't really have anything to try and force Ramen back. You've got a Dragon Strike, you can try and pressure him by the space with an ultimate, but then you're sacrificing an ultimate to win yourself this fight. And Ramen can just afford to wait it out.
Hanzo main does come up with a 3-kill there on the first defensive point. B for Boomer Squad. The Dragons finding one, and that early pick onto the Bastion, the most important one of all.
But Boomer Squad, they had to use an ultimate to get the space back, and they're still being so aggressive. Because they have to now. They have to give Hanselman the space to build that Dragon Strike up once more so that you can stand toe-to-toe with Ramen, who are coming in with 3 ultimates, but not a Sigma.
Nano boost onto Orbital and the Reinhardt. He's going to go in and just swing it without a care in the world. Earthshatter comes down and it finds 3 with the Immortality Field. Perfect for Lumsky to keep the team in the fight. Now the Gravitic Flux thrown in by Eos Luda. That found a couple health bars whittled down for the tanks of Boomer Squad, but the follow-up once again not quite there. Lyle does eventually take down Ruby. So may have spoken a hair too soon, but I worry that this attack is just going a little slow here. Good kiting from Boomer Squad as they're going to fall back around the second corner.
Mook's still on the Mercy, so you've got to try and keep Junkrat doing that amount of damage with the damage boost behind it, but it means you're sacrificing a lot of healing, especially if you're going up against a Batista Moira, which means Boomer Squad, if they draw this into a sustained fight, Ramen are going to be backed up into a corner quite literally.
5v4 for the attackers. Bob coming out to try to even the odds. Hanzo makes his way back into the battle. Lotu getting hyper aggressive with the Reinhardt right on the heels of that Orisa. Gonna get slept and deleted. Pays for that overextension. Now the high noon from the back. Nice job from Zolstra. Able to fade out of the way before the trigger gets pulled. Gets the kill onto Lyle. Hanzo main finds the kill on the Junkrat Jake as well. Another nano boost down onto Orvindel as Ramen looks to close the gap, see if they can push this thing home despite the early disadvantage.
So Boomer are unfortunately falling into this sort of thing where they make mistakes and they have to invest ultimates, mostly this Dragon Strike from Hanzo main, so that they can try and buy that space back, which means they're constantly behind in the ultimate economy. When it comes to these crucial fights where Ramen come in trying to win, they're just on the back foot.
Junkrat Jake invested the Junkrat tire. That's going to pick off one. Earthshatter was there to hold Jaeger in place. The tire to finish it off. That's 2 ultimates for 1 kill. A lot of space picked up, though, as Ramen continues to put the aggression down. Orno chasing Lotu all the way to the back of point C.
Oh, that Orisa is so low! Look at a little chip of health, but
Yeah, it's gotta be like 5 health. The Moira heal orb finally coming through to top Lotu off, or I mean, even get him out of the gutter there. Big rock onto Orvindel kind of sends him reeling back a little bit. ES Luna's going to invest a Gravitic Flux onto the back end of the point. Ruby goes down. Now, one tank shy. Gonna allow Ramen to get a bit aggressive, throw the Amplification Matrix up on the outside, or try to deny the Amplification Matrix from Boomer Squad on the outside. A little bit of a split defense here, slowed up this assault. Valkyrie coming in, but here come the Dragons from the defense, further delaying this attack.
Milk was able to get the res off though, and now Junkrat Jake is back in the fight, commanding so much space, commanding so much attention, and Orvindel is free to swing with that nano boost on his back.
There he comes, throws the Earth Shatter down, and a wonderful counter strike. Finds two, gets them both with the Fire Strike. Bomb coming in from the real Jaeger, does find a kill. Orvindel in the very back of the ranks of the defense here. Yeah, he's in a bad spot, gets surrounded, gets taken out. And Boomer Squad able to hold on here, just barely.
Okay, if you're Ramen, this is why you swap the Mercy off. Because Junkrat Jake is doing so much damage on his own, you don't really need the damage boost. It's only for this one. There we go. Go and swap onto the Lucio because you needed that. You need that speed boost to be able to get in close enough so that Lotu can get punished for being as aggressive as this Orisa is.
Big sleep and subsequent charge onto Lotu, the Immortality Field. Once again, there from Rumsky to keep the Orisa in the fight, but for how long? Not long is the answer. Real Jaeger does strike back, takes down Jake on the other side. So, Ramen down a man here, and Lotu gonna make the swap over to the Reinhardt coming off the Orisa.
Yeah, Iceluna's still in that baby diva form as well, so Ramen... Well, this time it's Orvindel who goes way too aggressively. Was there a miscommunication because that Reinhardt just went in alone? And now his team are without that main tank, without that shield. Boomer Squad not going to be going chasing those kills though. Ruby has got a Graviton. She's just waiting to put that in, but you don't have anything besides traditional abilities to follow through. So you might not need an ultimate. Milk doesn't have that time power online quite yet.
Ramen coming back in with both DPS ults, the tire to start things off. Rumsky takes it out from the back. Lyle's Deadeye does make it through, picks off Ruby on the Zarya. Immortality Field, a touch late there from the defense. Then it gets disposed of, and so does Lotu. No more take standing. Orvindel once again getting hyper aggressive on the Reinhardt. The rest of his team wasn't quite ready to follow it up, and here comes the defensive tire that finds two. Hanzo Man getting the D-Mech with that. Follows it up with a kill onto the pilot Diva. Great plays here in the waning seconds from the defensive Boomer Squad.
And now if you're Ramen, oh no. You had to swap Iceluna onto the Hammond. You've taken Defense Matrix away. Ruby gets the free grab, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Milk trying to go over the top to touch. Here comes the Graviton Surge. Soundbarrier does come out from Milk. Try to keep Ramen in this fight. Overtime Work is a burning Coalescence. Amplification Matrix used from the defense, and it's going to be too much. Overwhelming damage from the Boomer Squad will allow them to hold on here, plant their feet, and point C at King's Row.
Oh, the swap off the Diva is honestly the biggest misplay in my eyes that Ramen made that entire map. You know what Boomer Squad's win condition is. You know it revolves around that Graviton. You had the one tool that could prevent it. Milk might have had the sound barrier, but you would have had to commit a sound barrier to deal with an ultimate, a sound barrier you could have kept a hold of if you'd managed to defense matrix that grab.
Yep.
But as it is, you managed to pick up 2 points of King's Row. We talked about how Rialto full halts. We talked about how that payload stops a lot of the time on King's Row point C, and that is exactly what Ramen just experienced. So these guys are going to be looking to find the same amount of staying power on that point if it comes down to it. But you want to be trying to keep as much point in your time as you possibly can on point A. And Junkrat Jake sticking on this Junkrat means that if you're Boomer Squad, you are going to be having a lot of spam damage before you even get within a meter of this point. But as soon as you get close, this Junkrat is going to lose a lot of his value. Junkrat thrives when he can control how a team fights, where they set up. He's a tempo controller. As soon as you take that away from him, he becomes much harder to find value with. But you just got Lyle on that McCree. He's going to be trying to set a couple things up take the weight away from the Junkrat when it comes to that close quarters fight. Boomer Squad hands them in. I think we're going to see a Widow swap. You
Yeah,
do
just looking
see
for that
them
early pick.
on that highlight trying to get that early pick, as you point out. Staying around, not going to find anything, and now we'll be swapping off probably to something like an Ashe or a Reaper to try and do a little bit more frontline presence.
Indeed, it looks like the Reaper is going to be the choice. Try to get up close and personal here. Junkrat Jake sitting in Hotel, putting a lot of flank damage down as Boomer Squad makes their approach. Boomer Squad still being hyper-aggressive, forcing Ramen all the way to the back of Hotel. Hanzo Main trying to flank through Hotel, see if he can pick up that rotation. But Junkrat Jake, a little too much for him, eventually goes down. In fact, it's a two-kill trade on both sides. 4v4 on the point. Milk tilting the balance here in Ramen's favor.
Tilting the McCree as well. No DPS likes to lose to that Lucia, but Milk's been able to pull up 80% off the Signfire because he was able to get that fight going in his favor, and it means he's keeping pace with Ruby's Graviton build. And so if you're Boomer Squad, your best bet at keeping this point, rather unlocking this point, is going to be tied in to whether or not Milk goes down early.
Yeah, with both support ults, Earthshatter there. Earthshatter finds too, but the Graviton Surge returning fire from Boomer Squad. Real Jaeger dropped in the Deadeye. That's going to pick up 1 plus a D-Mech. And suddenly, Ramen's defense looking surrounded, but they strike back. Lyle on the McCree striking right back, finds a pair of kills. Trying to keep Ramen on his back here, almost single-handedly.
Oh, Ramen, the graph comes through. Ruby puts it in, but Milk's got that sign barrier built up, and so there isn't really that follow-up that you want to see. Boomer Squad will have something that they can use to spark this next engagement, Nano Boost and Shatter, which is going to force Orvindel to play so conservatively around the shield. But Handsome Main goes down, and Boomer Squad are going to have to be waiting once again.
Yeah, they will have both support ults and the Earthshatter to come back in with. Well, they're not waiting too long, and Boomer Squad managed to find 2 ticks. So, all efforts not completely for nothing, as they just need to precious 33%, but Junkrat Jake throws a tire in there, but he gets taken out by an Earthshatter. Sound barrier thrown into the mix from Rumsky as well. Irvinger goes down. IS Luda tosses in self-destruct just to keep from getting D-Mech'd. Hanzo Main and Jaeger find both supports. No more healers for the defense. And that last tick coming through for Boomer Squad.
And they managed to keep a hold of some really important ultimates as well. The real Jaeger, you can use Deadeye as a zoning ability to keep Ramen off your back while your team gets to push so aggressively forward, and make sure that you don't have to pay in blood to get through this first choke in Streets phase.
Yeah, Boomer Squad doing a great job of buying a lot of space, forcing the Ramen all the way back to the last turn. Good kiting from Boomer Squad. They don't want to hang out there too long. Boomer Squad does have both of their DPS ults online. We'll be looking for the Earthshatter coming from the other side. Ramen coming close to that sound barrier as well. Ruby up front. Charge to the heavens. Graviton Surge in the pocket. Gotta deal with the McCree. Lyle backed around into the house. Deadeye gets the D-Mech, but Jaeger goes down. Hanzo Main goes down. No more damage dealers here for Boomer Squad. Lyle on this McCree doing a great job of keeping him at bay.
Yeah, McCree really vital in shutting down Hanzo Main as well. And now that Daryl Jaeger is swapping onto the far, you've just offered Lyle another head to shoot on a silver platter. Both of Boomer Squad's DPS are countered by this one thing, which means Junkrat Jake doesn't need to worry about the DPS lineup. He just gets to spam damage into the shields of Lotu. And now that you won this fight, you can hold them at choke. Orvindel's got a shadow. He's waiting for them to move across this corner to use it. But Milky doesn't have the cushion available for Rumsky.
Earthshatter only finds 1, but that was an important one in the Ana. Death Blossom Graviton Surge comes out. They get nothing for that massive combo. Hanzo Main just ends up back in spawn for his trouble. Lotu can't survive either. And despite the massive amount of ults invested by Boomer Squad, they get nothing, Moxie.
Well, Hanzo Main is not going to be on this Reaper anymore. So what we do see is a swap. Junkrat Jake actually is going to put the tire in. It's not going to find much of anything. But Hanzo Main now on this Hanzo, he's going to be trying to build up to that Dragon Strike. It's the one combo you want to see coming out from the Zarya. but it's also something that Isluna can try and take off the table with that defense matrix.
And with only a $130 on the clock, Hanzo Main's got to do better than that if he wants to get those dragons online. Jaeger and Ruby getting into the mix, take down the heals and the main tank from Ramen's defense. Gets picked off by Luna, though. Picked off in pilot form, no less. Not very often you see a Pharah killed by a baby D.Va. Ruby still like maintaining 95 plus charge, seemingly this entire match, pushing forward, leading the charge here for Boomer Squad. Got to be careful of Junkrat Jack in the back line, but Hanzo Main able to clean up the flank, push forward, clean up the D.Va as well. Now the Graviton Surge invested to help close this thing out.
The real Jaeger is still holding on to this barrage as well. You put in Graviton, so you can't really set it up as nicely as you do with that. But if Lotu can land a Shatter, that's when you can have the Pharah coming on through, especially if Ruby's able to provide a bubble to keep them up and alive. Lyle's going to swap onto the Echo to give a little bit more air pressure onto them. But you still haven't been able to stop the build-up of this ultimate. It's something you're going to have to deal with in this next fight, and something your supports are woefully unprepared for.
Oh, I'm not sure I like the swap. I think McCree's a better pick, though. Lyle making the Echo's presence known immediately, taking the Lotu out of the fight. Coalescence coming in just to make sure Boomer Squad doesn't have any second thoughts about pushing in.
But Boomer Squad, they backed out! They should have pressed forward. They had the Pharah. They need the space to set that Pharah up. You don't want a Pharah to move back into a space when she's dealing with damage coming from an Echo. And now it's going to be even harder to set this barrage up, let alone connect kills to it.
Hanzo Main invested the tire, didn't find anything. Jaeger does get the D-Mac onto the D.Va. Barrage thrown in immediately. Oh, the Reinhardt goes down. Orbital could not quite survive the oncoming onslaught of missiles. Jaeger follows it up a kill onto the pilot D.Va. Ramen trying to bounce back, trying to throw a Junkrat tire in to see if they can stave off this assault, but Rumsky right there with the sound barrier, no casualties from the Junkrat tire. Junkrat Jake decides he's going to take matters in his own hands then, throw the mines in, find bow supports with those mines, and send the attackers packing once again.
One final fight available for Boomer Squad, but again, Ice Luna has gone off the D.Va and onto the Hammond, and again, Ruby's coming up to a Graviton deja vu. We've been in this place before, Bull. And if you're Boomer Squad Lotu, he's still got this Shatter. Even if the D.Va was up and available, you could just shatter them into the ground, and that should clear the way for Ruby to safely get this Graviton to connect with the team.
They'll have the Reptire to couple with it as well. Looks like a conservative approach here. Boomer Squad almost looking fearful as they approach this corner, and perhaps scared they should be as Lyle's gonna burn down the farm. But here comes the nano boosted Earth Shatter. This could be the one. Picks up one kill. Oh, the tire from the other side. It's massive. It gets 3 kills, and Ramen taking King's Row in the 2-1 lead here in the series.
Oh, Boomer Squad, again, for the second time in that game, they played so passively when they should have been pushing forward so aggressively. And that set up, I think, what we're about to see. Hanzo Main getting the free K with the tire. Oh, no, not even that one.
No, that's just how much value Hanzo Main was getting out of this Junkrat.
It's so weird to see as well. Junkrat on King's Row is something so off meta, something that you don't tend to see. But we were talking before we even got to see the series, before we even got to see the first series today, about the difference between all of these elos, all of these different series. Rookie is all about comfort picks, and if you're very good at one particular hero, it doesn't always matter about meta if you can just run that hero over the other team.
I mean, that's what we saw there. Junkrat Jake is good. As good a performance as we saw from Hanzo Main. I think Junkrat Jake outdid him there in the namesake hero. Taking the 2-1 lead in this series. We're going to take a short break. It will be Boomer Squad's pick for our assault map. We'll see you then when we return. Well, welcome back, my friends, to Season 5 of the GitGud Championship. Here in the final day, we are in the rookie division with Ramen up 2-1 over Boomer Squad. My name's Bull Skunk. Alongside got Moxie, and we're headed to Volskaya Industries for map 4. Boomer Squad hoping to send us to that map 5.
Yeah, remember, Boomer Squad needs to win Volskaya. Otherwise, Ramen, it being a first to 3 series, will walk away with the series under their belt. And we've seen a lot of Volskaya today. In
We
fact,
have.
Volskaya was the one earlier today that took us to that map 5. So Boomer Squad going to be looking to repeat the magic and keep this Overwatch game going.
So far, Junkrat Jake on the namesake hero. Been a lot for Boomer Squad to handle. Haven't quite found an answer to that yet. What changes do you think they should make coming into Volskaya if assuming that he's going to stick with the Jake rat on the other side?
I mean, you've got to put something in that doesn't pressure the Junkrat when it comes to him staying alive, but that removes the value that he finds. And so he uses spam damage, and that's how he builds his ultimate up as quickly as we've been seeing him. Put a diva into the table. Defense matrix away half of the spam damage that's coming towards your composition, and immediately the Junkrat loses a lot of his value.
And we saw the Zarya come out from Ruby there on King's Row, and Ruby was staying very charged. Traditional response to the Junkrat. Use that spam to your advantage, turn it into your own strength, but yet somehow they weren't getting the value out of that Zarya.
It's because the Zarya, yes, charges up a lot of damage off a Junkrat. Doesn't keep team safe though. And those bubbles, they have a much longer cooldown than a defense matrix, which I think is about 1 second, 1.5, whatever Blizzard is got it up going now. They've been tinkering away with that one because it is a very strong ability. In fact, I think when Overwatch first came out, there was a lot of argument that defense matrix was the strongest non-ultimate ability in the game.
Oh yeah.
After the Batiste coming in, and when Brigitte was still very strong when Shield Bash could go for Reinhardt shielding, I think she had a lot of competition for the title of that. But Defense Matrix is still just as powerful as it was, and can still do an awful lot to deny a Junkrat the reason for him to be up on board.
Immortality Field may take the cake as strongest cooldown in the game now, but Defense Matrix still viable. Still has got to be in the top 3 as far as cooldown usage, as far as single cooldown usage. And Diva seeing a buff on the experimental card means, if that goes live, I think we'll be seeing a lot more Diva in the future.
Yeah, it feels like Blizzard are really wanting to see us return to that 2017 Overwatch where everything was lovely to play unless you were Zenyatta main, in which case it was it was no man's land out there, So that means they had to form therapy groups just to be able to go through their placements in competitive.
Oh man, to be a fly on the wall in one of those therapy sessions.
Oh man, they came at me with a Winston, bro, a Winston.
Well, on the defense here, Boomer Squad coming out with the double shield once again. Symmetra to start things off on the defense. Interesting pick. I can see it from an attacker, but why are they bringing the Sim on the defense here, Moxie?
So if you want to go for a look at how Volskaya operates, the defenders, they tend to sort of take one space and very much gravitate towards only that one space. At least that was old Volskaya. Just like we've seen the meta shift around, we've also seen how you want to defend change around. And so if you have something like a Symmetra, you're able to have a lot of control over all of the places of this point. You can have that teleporter going that allows the less mobile tanks like Orisa, like Sigma, to actually freely move from the low ground to the high ground and still have that pressure, not meaning that you lose people in those rotations that take so long to set up. And they really do buy into the amount that you can defend, because if you're away from the point, that allows the attackers to just move in and steal the space for themselves.
And that's exactly what we saw here. Boomer Squad initially taking up position on the high ground, utilizing it well, find first blood, but Jaeger does eventually go down. Ramen striking back. Still a 5v5 on the objective. Orvindel tilting the balance. Junkrat Jake getting into the mix, this time coming out on the Reaper. And this could be a wicked fast point A here for Ramen. Continuing, and Lyle's going to pick up a kill. Junkrat Jake still getting in the mix. Here comes the progress. One tick already picked up. Coalescence coming online. We'll have Mines, Primal Rage, and a Sound Barrier here for Ramen. The snowball potential looking very, very possible as the defense so far just looking at an Ant Matrix. Oh, Ruby in a difficult spot, way away from the rest of her team. Good plays from DJ Jolsha, healing up their Sigma, getting back safely. And Matrix coming out from the defense, but the Primal Rage from Orvindel that finds both supports. A massive Primal Rage. Junkrat Jake takes down the counterpart, and suddenly it's a massive advantage for Ramen here on the attack. One progress already picked up as Boomer Squad forced into desperation mode. They can't even get back in touch. It's a 5-minute time bank.
And Zilker, they're not able to use the coalescence as well. Ramen setting a blistering pace, and I don't think Boomer Squad were really prepared on how to deal with that attack, because Symmetra can be very good when you're trying to move from the high ground to the low ground, but suddenly, if all of that time that teleporter is just completely denied from you, and you don't have the space, the breathing room that double shielding requires to set up on that defense, well, you find yourself just falling very much foul of the composition that steamrolls right over you on A, and then gets to snowball onto B.
And I noticed the teleporter was just a little too close to the edge on that first box where they were trying to set up. Ruby tried to get back up onto the high ground, utilize some space at the Sigma, and just immediately fell right off because it was so close to the side. So a little misplaced from the teleporter did not help the cause of the defense there.
Yeah, and now you don't want to see this if you're Boomer Squad. You just lost such a very fast Volskaya, 5 minutes and 6 seconds for Ramen, and Ramen, what are they looking to do? Hold you for as long as they possibly can. They are going to be milking spam damage with this Junkrat, with this Ashe. It's going to be so hard for Boomer Squad to safely maneuver from choke onto point, even if you go in with Hanzomain on this Tracer and Daryl Jaeger on the Sombra, which is much more likely just going to be used as a sort of scout to see what you're up against. Especially, you know, the Metro strategies were in play in that previous round. It's going to be extremely hard because you're just going to have a little bit of chip damage, and the Sombra's going to have such a hard time actually traversing safely in this stealth mode unless you get picked apart by the Junkrat.
Oh, and speaking of Milk, Milk comes up with first kill, and those Discord orbs are going to make the spam damage that much more succulent. So far, the defense shutting down Boomer Squad with a quickness here to start things off.
And the Sombra is just not going to find value. You can try and stealth in, but Sombra needs to be able to get away without being spy checks. And well, you don't have a Diva to worry about. Junkrat Shake is doing just as much on that titular hero. Daryl Jaeger is actually going to go onto the Genji, so you're going to try and get a little bit of deflection action going and maybe get Milk out of the way early on. But you've still got a Tracer, you've still got very little damage, very little way to contest Lyle.
Woohoo. Putting up some wicked shooting here to start off this defense. Dr. Eder getting in the mix as well. And 3 kills quickly light up the feed here for Ramen. Another good hold on the defense, already over a minute eaten off the clock.
And Lyle, 48% of the way to that bar, but where it matters is the supports for Ramen. At the moment, if Boomer Squad are running the Tracer, the Genji, this is geared around denying the backline presence, denying them the focus to keep the frontline up and alive. But Ramen, they've already almost got 2 support ultimates on the board. The DPS just aren't able to worry them.
As a matter of fact, that Ant Matrix coming out early and 2 kills, promptly followed behind. Milk getting into the mix as well, taking advantage of that double damage. And it's once again half of Boomer Squad back in spawn before they even know what happened.
Boomer Squad just don't have the pick potential that's available for Ramen. It doesn't matter if Junkrat Jake isn't able to get the kills. He chips them down so low that Lyle or Milk are just able to capitalize and take what little remains off the table. Boomer Squad, they've had this Genji for 3 fights now, and he's only 34% of the way to this blade. And even when it's up and online, you're just going to find yourself on the wrong end of Milk's Transcendence.
Another fantastic early pick from Junkrat Jake. I can't help but wonder if Boomer Squad needs to swap to perhaps a Brig here. Give some armor packs onto those DPS. Allow them a little bit more space and time to do their thing.
It's the Diva Ruby on this Zarya. That's what you need. Because you have Graviton. But Zarya fights when it's that close quarters fight, and you just don't have the chance to set that one up with all the spam damage.
When they're trying to keep the Lucio to get those tanks in close, now they can't get past the Gravitic Flux. Low 2, splattered on the ground immediately upon entering the objective. We did get the Graviton Surge, but Transcendence right there. Milk able to keep the entirety of Ramen in this fight. Lyle and Orvindel with the time strike back. They're going to find a pair of kills. The Salmayer from Rumsky. It's a little late on this one.
And the Graviton from Ruby was just a little bit early as well, because you could have tried to deal with that up with the Genji so you've got the blade going through, because remember, there's no Ana for these guys. There's no nano boost, which means the real Jaeger has to get that dry blade going through. Milk did put in the Transcendence, but Dr. Andrew is still going to have that immortality field. And unless Lotu lands the monster of all shadows, that cooldown is going to stay firmly in the Batista pocket until this Genji pulls out that blade.
Another amplification matrix coming out, and an early pick with the creation. Tire thrown in, finds one as well. The Earth Shatter is pretty big, and the blade right there to follow it up. 2 kills apiece for each of the DPS. Is it enough? Is there going to be a strike back? Nice deflect to finish off Junkrat, Jake, and Boomer Squad. They're going to pick up point A in a moment too soon.
That was the problem that Boomer Squad were running into. They had a very heavy composition that needed to have that short range to actually find the value. Every time that they were coming in against Poke, every time that they lost someone out early, they weren't able to move in with this Tracer, this Genji, who need that short range space and can run away with the fight because Ramen weren't running the CC. They were relying only on Poke, and Lyle only now goes on to the Tourbillon to try to keep Hanzomain away.
Still less than 3 minutes on the clock. Junkrat Jake with an early pick on the Hanzomain, who is holding the only ultimate currently available for the attackers. Boomer Squad not looking like they're going to snowball this thing here. Rumsky falls early. Jaeger does strike back, but Dr. Andrew's going to have that quick respawn, and the attacker's already down 2. I don't see them continuing this assault.
Boomer Squad needs to get out. If the fight's not immediately going into their favor, they need to reset because they're already half of the time bank that's available for Ramen, and Milk has got this Transcendence, and worse, Ramen are the ones getting the kills. All Boomer Squad are doing is staggering themselves out and burning time off their bank.
Ruby and Lotu were both whittled down to about half health and continue to try to press the issue. They just get discorded and are eating so much damage. I mean, Ramen is all over them right now.
Hanzomain is going to be swapping onto the Hanzomain. And he will be trying to build up to that Dragon Strike. A minute 50 is definitely the amount of time that you can try to use it. But the question is, how are you going to be able to use it? Because you're not running that Orisa, right? You can't have that halt to combine. You've got to rely on Lotu setting up the Shadow, or Ruby setting up the Graviton. But then you deny Jaeger the chance to set up this blade.
And Ruby and Hanzo are so out of sync, I'm worried they're not going to align. The Gravitic Flux, that is aligning perfectly here for Ramen. 2 kills right there on the back of that. Boomer Squad trying to back out, but they find no reprieve. There's nowhere for them to go. The Moira's going to fall as well. Ramen free to get aggressive here on the back of that assault. Now just 70 seconds on the clock. Couple of ultimates for Boomer Squad to work with. Question mark?
Yeah, but Milk still has this Transcendence, and Dr. And is still in possession of this immortality field. I am terrified that Boomer Squad are going to be seeing that they've got 60 seconds left on the clock and that they're going to rush this. That Ruby is going to put in this Graviton, that really is going to blade as soon as they come online, and then Milk will be there with that Transcendence to save the team, and Boomer Squad won't have anything left in this final fight.
Oh, Ruby got stunned, discorded, lucky to get out of their life. Jaeger gets taken down before he can pull the blade out. Huge kill from Junkrat Jack. Junkrat Jack as the Graviton Surge now falls on deaf ears with nothing to follow it up. Hanzomain Storm Arrow is able to find one, but not enough to take the point. Yes, Luna getting in the mix, finding several kills, and Lyle with the hammer kill from the Torbjorn.
Oh, when you take 30% more damage from a Torbjorn hammer, it becomes a little bit more of something that you have to worry about. But my worries were founded because Ruby used the Graviton. The panic as soon as the Genji went down. Boomer Squad suddenly realized that they've got a Graviton. They try to use it without pressuring the Zen. Now it's the final fight. They've nothing except the Tri-Blade.
Tri-Blade is going to come out already. Boomer Squad at a 2-man disadvantage. The blade will find one, not nearly enough to take this point. And Ramen will take Volskaya in the 3-1 victory in our series.
And Boomer Squad, unfortunately, they just weren't able to pressure that backline as much as we wanted to see. And Ramen did a very good job at keeping that backline away from line of sight. Orvindal's going to be picking up play of the game on the Winston. So it's going to be a jumping in, getting that primal properly going through, and getting them straight into the drink with those humongous monkey fists.
Oh, Primal Rage is such controlled chaos. It's a thing of beauty. I don't know. A fantastic Primal Rage is just something fun to watch, as was this match here today. That ultimate indicative of everything we saw from Ramen. Control chaos and a beauty to watch. A fun match here.
I just wish that Boomer Squad would have tried to hold on to that Graviton for the final fight because
Yeah.
Milk did use Transcendence to try to deal with the Grav, but you didn't have anything else really to bait him out. If the Dragon Strike had come through a little bit sooner, then maybe the Zen would have put that one in, but it's much more likely that Immortality Field would have been the resource allocated to dealing with that one if there'd been something like a Doomfist to just go in and try to just bash the Zenyatta around a little bit. Back in the
Exactly.
2017 days of time where the Zenyatta was just target numero uno, and whichever Zen managed to outlive the other one tended to be the one on the winning team.
Well, Junkrat Jake with the clutch play at the end to take down the Genji before they could pull the blade out to accompany that Graviton Surge. Ramen walking away with the victory here. A lot of it based on that performance.
It'll be interesting as well to see how this team operates going forward because obviously we've seen a lot of Genji today. And we know that if the experimental changes actually come onto live, then one of the best ways in dealing with a Genji when you're a support player, the Brigitte, is going to be pretty much null and void. She is going to be gone.
Yep. Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm
Overwatch is
excited.
going to be down one support player because Rally is still going to be as effective as ever, but the fact that you can't overheal that health bar means that you can't suddenly make a squishy a tank, and when a Genji comes through, he's just gonna barrel over you like before.
Well, both of these teams move into 7-3 here in our final day of play for group stage. But any team that doesn't quite make it into postseason, well, they're not quite done yet. We're going to have Fight for Redemption available will be this Friday, I believe, in which the teams who did not qualify for playoffs get a chance to come back and a second opportunity at life here in the Get Good Championship, a second opportunity to punch their ticket into the playoffs.
Second opportunity to try to shut down Genjis because, well, as everyone knows, and I'm sure if anyone's playing Overwatch this week, Genji has just become the thing that you really do need to stop. And the most
Yep.
terrifying thing about it is it's not even the blade that you have to stop, it's just the hero himself.
Indeed, indeed. The second coming of Genji, as you phrased it earlier, and I think that is perfect. Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, later on the day, we'll have a couple of matches coming at you from the NA region, but that is going to do it for me and Got Moxie here today. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you this pair of matches, and we certainly appreciate you coming along for the ride. We are going to go ahead and shut her down. Y'all remember to look out for each other in game and out. We'll see you later on today. Have a good one, y'all.